what shall we start on now?
I thought it was something
So,
else.
about 10 years ago, you first Thursday went to Woodsley Road,
Yes.
and at the same time,
I think it was longer than that. Shall I tell you for why?
Why?
Because I know I went to the step meeting at 229. Oh, 229, I'm back at 229, I'm sorry. Yes. Would have been about 10 years then.
Yes, about
Yeah.
10 years ago it is
Yes.
that we went down there, and the step meeting went to Rangthorne, and Tuesday meeting went to Street Lane.
The roof came in at 229, didn't it?
Pardon?
The roof fell in at 229, and
No.
I was sitting in the step meeting, there were big sheets up and there was rain dripping on it all.
Aye, we've had some beautiful places, yes.
so where did the Wednesday night group go?
The Mount
The Mount, that went to the Mount. Thursday night went down to Woodsley Road.
Road, yes.
Friday went to St James's.
Yes.
So really, when that went down,
And Saturday it went to Rangthorne.
Saturday went to
Young
Rangthorne.
People had already disintegrated by then.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, it had. Yes, it finished when it was up there.
Well, that
Yes.
was what, beginning of the 80s.
And then we had a Sunday
Yes.
meeting. Nora started the Sunday meeting, didn't she? And she
Well,
started as everybody to get involved. That was one of the first times everybody did something. She says, well, she brought it from Canada, we'll have somebody reading the steps and somebody doing the slogans, a slogan each, to involve everybody in the...
Oh, where was that?
That was on a Sunday.
Where?
It started at 229 that, and then that
Huh?
moved to the Mount, you say, with the others. You remember that one, Alice?
I didn't remember it on Sunday at 229.
We had that big room downstairs.
Oh, did you? No, I didn't.
Can I change tack onto Intergroup? Who do you remember as the first officers of Intergroup?
Oh, God. Well, I think the first chairman was Morris, because I remember him saying, I'm giving it up because I've done chairman and treasurer for so long, and I'll have to find, I'll have to nominate someone else.
Yeah.
See, there was a little Stan from Bradford. He was quite active in Intergroup. Do you remember him? His wife, I can't remember what they call his wife.
Emily, was it? Was we with an E?
No. There's this chap, and John P. He was active in Intergroup. Peter T was a bit reluctant about it all. He didn't agree with Outert to start with.
What about Derek from Bradford? Was that
Derek
a bit early
from
for him?
Derek? Yeah, Derek's only,
Yeah.
about 10 years, so.
Yes. Yeah.
I just remember seeing his name on a set of minutes that was when Bradford were in the West Riding Intergroup.
Yes.
And it just sprang to mind, that's all.
Yes. Yes, Bradford were the last ones to leave the West Riding Intergroup.
Yeah.
I mean, a sigh of relief on both sides when they did and all. Because we never did agree, did we?
George
Used
got
to-
thumped, didn't he?
What?
George got thumped, didn't he? By, well, better not say that, I don't.
No. Yeah. No, we used to have some very stormy intergroups. Yeah. Oh, very stormy ones indeed.
But really, West Riding gave birth to them all in the north, didn't they?
All in the north, yes.
Yeah.
We were just the one big West Riding to start with, and then as they got more groups, they formed their own little intergroup.
Yeah. Who's that doctor who died?
Yeah,
who
I know.
Found out died. Dr.
Smith Morehouse.
That's Smith Morehouse, yeah.
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 What about region? Have you gotten as far as that, Joe, or do you want to leave that?
Well,
You were in on the start of region, weren't you?
Yes. Then again, we seem to move around like we did at the intergroups.
that was about 1981, wasn't it?
Yes. But, you know, they before the intergroups, there was something similar. They called it A&W something or other. I know Morris used to go to it, and Idle John. You know, John from Idle at Bradford.
Yeah.
That's why I call him Idle John.
Yeah.
He wasn't idle.
I'm from Bradford.
Oh, I see, yes. So we used to call him Idle. He was Idle John. And Morris will tell you what the initials were, but it was something like an intergroup.
Yeah.
Only it spread far beyond Yorkshire, because it used to go down to Birmingham and all over the place when they had the 3 monthly meetings.
Yeah, and that was before Intergroup.
That was before Intergroup, yes.
Yeah. And then regions were formed in 81.
Yes, putting the intergroups together, regions.
Yeah. And what did you play a part in that?
No.
What other conventions did you do?
Oh gosh, umpteen of them.
I'm going to say, didn't you?
We started the first convention. The first convention I can remember was at Scaleborough Park.
Scaleborough?
Yes, Scaleborough Park. They have a big.
Shall I put a lamp on it?
Oh yes, put the lamp on. It is plugged in. Sorry. They had. I think it was a big gymnasium, or no, it's down at the bottom there. The plug at this side.
You carry on talking.
They had a big gymnasium, a recreation room. That's it. And I'm sure we had. They used to give us lunch too. Well, we paid for it, but I mean they provided their lunch. Provided lunch, smashing lunch we had, and we had. I don't know how many we had there. Certainly about 3, I should think.
About what year was that then?
Jesus. I hadn't been home long when we started on these. I came home in 65, 66. It would be around there.
Yeah.
And
Late 60s?
Late 60s, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was that? Was that a West Riding convention?
West Riding Convention, yes.
Yeah.
And of course it was covered by all the groups that were in the West Riding.
Yeah.
Well, as I've told you, up as far as Newcastle, down as far as Chesterfield. And then we went from there to Boddington Hall, the university building on by Lawnswood Cemetery there.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 there. Then from there to Centenary House.
That's down Clarendon Road?
No, Centenary House is at the top of North Street.
Aye.
At the top of, Upper Briggate.
Yeah.
It's right at the corner, it's big. I had a couple there. Where did we go to Centenary House?
Oh, really convention.
Was it that place at...
I think the first year was St Margaret's Hall, wasn't it?
St Margaret's Hall, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
St Margaret's in Horsforth. Morris did that convention.
What was that about then? 76?
Oh no, that's So I am, because I did a convention at, I was in a committee at a convention at St Teenery, the last one I think at St Teenery House.
Oh yeah, would that be Sandra?
Maybe about 6 years, so that will probably be about 82, 83.
83.
That was 83. And then we moved, the next one was at St Margaret's Church Hall, and Morris did that one.
So that would be around about 84 at St Margaret's?
Yes, about.
Yes, around about there. Yes, I remember that because I went with you, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they moved out, didn't they? Out from...
Morris might not have done the first one. I know we did one.
Yes.
And then moved from there.
Then didn't it go out of Leeds?
Then it
went out, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember it.
Yes.
York then, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Scarborough.
Yeah.
No, sorry, didn't you go to Scarborough first?
Scarborough first.
Scarborough first,
then
York.
Yes.
Yes, that's
And now
right.
back in Leeds.
Scarborough did too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Travis shared at one of those, didn't he? The first Scarborough.
The first?
Scarborough convention. The first mini convention they had in Scarborough.
Oh, yes.
Travis shared on the
Yes. And they, going to the prisons, they asked them, I don't know, I think it'd be about 71 when we started with Askham.
Prison visiting?
Prison visiting, yes. Because I went over with Morris and Rita, and they agreed to let us in. And we used to walk around the grounds. There was just Rita and I. Rita from Bradford, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Rita and I, we used to have to walk around the grounds with these girls. Fortunately, it was summer. And sit on a seat, and there were only about 2 girls, sometimes there'd be 3. And sit on a seat and just talk to them. And then I went down to Bristol Convention. I don't know what they call it. It wasn't called Bristol Fashion then, but it was the first one of those things they had. Reunion, that's right, yeah. And I met down there the assistant governor for Holloway, and I went with Eric, he's now dead, Shipley Bob, and myself, of course. And she joined us. She was on her own, smashing woman. I can't remember her name for the life of me. And we had a very pleasant weekend. And blimey, about a couple of months after that, I went over to Askham once, and the girl said, "Oh, the governor wants to see you." I went on and see her. There she was. She was governor of Askham, and of course we were in. Seemed extraordinary, didn't it?
But you've been in Wakefield.
Yeah.
A lot longer than that.
Oh, Morris used to go to Wakefield when he first came in. It was going then, and he always says it's the first one. And he sticks to it. I don't know which the other one is that's in dispute.
Well, I think, didn't Jim, or somebody, didn't they do prison visiting together?
Who? Jim and
Morris?
What, do you mean Jim from York?
Yeah. Oh, I must have it wrong.
I can't imagine Morris going with Jim.
No.
Oh no, he used to go with Tommy or somebody, he called him, that sponsored him.
I thought Jack Earlham sponsored, gave Morris a message, didn't he, Jack Earlham?
Oh yes, Jack Earlham gave Morris this, they had like a little visiting card, and it said on it, have you a drinking problem, if so ring, I suppose it was the crib number. And he gave it to Morris in this pub when they were both in the cups. And of course Morris came, and Jack Earlham never made it. Just went down and down, in and out of jail. And he's a very brilliant painter. Dr. O'Brien's a good few of his paintings. I think that's why I used to take it. Oh, I shouldn't say it on there. No.
Can we edit this time?
Yes. Hey, and Jack Earlham.
We used to have spasms at...
Yes, he always used to come and say, so, hey, I know it works, but I can't make it work. Yeah. He was just a dosser. He was a gentleman, but he was a dosser.
Were there any other characters, late 60s, early 70s?
Oh yeah, Polish Joe was one of your friends, wasn't he?
Oh, aye, Polish Joe, yes. He used to come and he'd wash up, he'd dash around, he'd do everything. He'd been coming for a good few months. He said to me one day, I'm not coming anymore, Alice. I said, why ever, Joe? He says, well, they never give me the collection. I've been coming all this time. He thought we took the collection in turns.
Oh, I like it.
Yes.
They used to come in and tap up there, didn't they? They'd tap you for cigarettes, because we were right on top of the detox. When I joined, I'd been in maybe a year, 2 years. Morris will have all the information on that. When they opened the detox up, well, too nice, right on top of it.
Yes, it is.
So
Practically opposite.
Out of there and come in the meeting, and a lot of them really didn't want there, did they? And we were allowed to go in there. We were invited to go in there.
Yes.
But we weren't allowed to talk AA. We just went and talked to the men, which was a bit difficult, wasn't it?
Well, it was very, very difficult because what had we in common with them?
Yeah.
Well, except in the drinking problem, I agree. But, if you knock the drinking problem out, what could we talk about?
These were real...
Well, they were
dasher.
dasher.
The word winos, but I mean,
Yes.
that's the only way I can...
At that time they were, yes. But it's become a bit more upmarket, hasn't it?
Yeah.
They used to come in 229 and
Yes, it did.
for cigarettes, and it was fun, really, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
We really appreciated getting a meeting from the beginning to the end without being interrupted, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
When the drunk coming in, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Rowling.
So meetings were quite eventful.
Yeah, well, I suppose they were at 2 o'clock, you see, so if the pubs came out at 2, it was the obvious place to go for a cup of tea, wasn't it? I mean, it passed time on till 7 o'clock. Oh, they were...
What other characters were there?
Well, there was that Danny
Big Danny.
Danny McGrory.
Yes.
Oh, God, he was a hard case.
He used to come in every meeting about 8:30.
Yes.
And he would own his language, and he would ruin the meeting. He just went to pot when he came, and he would come in drunk, and he would swear, and it was. What happened to him?
He's still alive, I understand, but my God, how he's managed it, I don't know.
Did you meet Idle John?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I knew Idle John.
Yeah.
Walter was nice, wasn't he? Remember Walter?
Oh, yes, Walter from Otley. He was a shepherd. A relief shepherd, He wasn't a shepherd. He used to go round. He'd go down to the Channel Isles and bring in the flock or whatever they do. And then in another week he'd be up in Scotland. He was like a locum shepherd.
Yeah.
His mother was a lovely man.
Yeah.
He did the meeting every week, didn't he?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Was... No. Well, then, Rob.
He was the one that proposed it, I'm sure, at Intergroup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert and Jean,
yes. And then, of course, it got passed through. And I think he found to Oxford Place Chapel.
Wasn't he always a bit nervous? I don't know that I should be interrupting, really. Just bring it up. Wasn't he always a little bit nervous of his anonymity? He didn't want his he did the work, didn't he?
Yes. But
George then took it over, didn't he?
yes, George took it over, but he certainly did the foundations of it, quite definitely.
And that's been going 10 years now, hasn't it, the telephone service?
It must be, mustn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's. Have they got the minutes of the?
I've got the original roster.
Yes.
Maybe not quite 10 years. That sounds.
Well, I've got all the books as well.
Yeah, so that'll tell you.
Have you always been on telephone service then?
Yes.
Ever since it started?
Yes, because I have a thing about telephone service. It helped me that Sunday. I often think, if nobody had been on telephone service that Sunday, what should I have done? And when I was in London, I couldn't very well go out on 12-step calls because it was difficult getting phone calls in, that to go through the switchboard. And of course, you know what telephonists were. 5 minutes to spare, they listened in. And so by this time, telephone service had moved from GSO to Craven Gardens, which was back at the back of the hotel where I worked. And it was a very, very sort of posh house that was very dilapidated. It had been gone. And, houses on either side were sort of tubs out with geraniums in and that, but this one stood out like a sore finger. And it was let off in rooms. We had this one big room with lovely item fireplaces at the end. And a paid secretary, all paid out of Intergroup. And he had to wait until the volunteers came, and at night, at 5:30 or whatever time it was. If no one turned up, of course he had to just hang on and try and find somebody to come. So it was very useful to him that I was just round the corner, and he used to ring through and say, "Are you coming for a coffee?" which meant nobody had turned up. And I would go round and he could push off home, and then I could ring round and find somebody to come in with me. So I did a lot of telephone service in London. I did.
I think you've done every Friday. From one I can remember, you've been on telephone every other Friday night.
Yes. I've had Mike Fisher and all sorts, yes. So I've always had a soft spot for telephone service. Always been a thing with me, but that's really what sticks out in my mind, just supposing there had been nobody there to tell me where. All I wanted to know where to go to.
I feel a little bit like that about the Samaritans, because I got a contact
from the Samaritans. Yes. That's why I always feel, Samaritans is run by voluntary contributions. And at one time, I brought it up at Intergroup, and we gave it, I think it was £25. Once a year they have a Flag Day or a Samaritans Day or something. And we gave, I can't remember the amount, nominal sum like £25, if that, to the Samaritans for their chat, to keep them going. And I thought that was quite reasonable, don't you? The work that they do for us, and ringing out.
Yeah.
They do a lot of ringing out to you for various things.
That's right, yeah. Did you have anything to do with hospitals?
No.
Scarborough.
Oh yes, Scarborough, yes. Aye. Yes, I used to go up to Scarborough alternate Wednesdays.
When did you start that?
I went up with John G. We used to go up on the bus. God, I can't remember.
If you went with John J, he pulled out of the fellowship when I'd been in about, he took a drink, didn't he?
Yeah.
When I'd been in roughly 2 years. So That is 13 years ago. Prior to 13 years ago, you must have gone to Scalmer.
Yes.
So that would put it about 68?
Some.
No.
No, it's later than
78.
78
Sorry,
or
78.
more. Yes, that's more like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
78.
Yes, because I did it
Sorry.
when my parents died. I couldn't go before that. Well, I was working, and I did it after they died. That was very rewarding. I used to like going up to Scalmer.
Did you see a lot of O'Brien?
Yeah. Used to scare the bloody daylights out of me, these half glasses on. I used to look at him and say, "How are you, Alice?" And think, oh my God, if I got to go and sit in front of him and tell him I'd got a drink problem, and then I'd do anything. He was just being pleasant. I believe his language was appalling. Yes, if you tried to kid him, he'd say, "You're so more four-letter words than you can think of." Yes.
They used to have those two men, didn't they, working?
What?
Those two male nurses.
Oh, yes, Ricky. Ricky and
They used to go with Wine Shop Rita, didn't they?
yes, and then after John stopped going, went with Wine Shop Rita. Then I started going with Raymond at one time. Everybody used to look very impressed when we arrived up in a Porsche or a Jag.
Oh, that Raymond.
Aye. He's been going about for years, you know.
He came in just after me.
Oh,
He
yes.
came in just after me. I remember him at Ockley. And Dennis brought him.
Yeah, that's right. Dennis brought him.
Just after I'd started in Ockley. So that's 15 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
Then it all fell through and I was back to the bus. But it was very, very rewarding. You can bet your life at every blooming meeting they had to attend one. You see, in the first, they did 2 weeks on, I forget now what they called it, to see if they were going to stick it. That was the idea of it. Admission, that's right, admission they call it. Yes, and one of these weeks on a Wednesday they had to attend this AA meeting. We just explained to them what AA was and what it had done for us and where they could find it, and the rest up to them, sort of thing. Not quite as blunt as that. I forgot now what I was going to tell you. It's surprising though, the number of people that even so just now say, "I remember you from Scalmer." All those years after, and they've come along.
Tell you, I know I'm digressing and going back a bit, but one thing we didn't sort of discuss was the Saturday meeting that was at the BBC. Alice, the open meeting. Did you ever go to that one?
The Saturday open meeting at the BBC, I must.
Yeah, when I joined, there was a Monday meeting, which was a step. Speaker meeting on a Thursday, and there was meeting on a Saturday, which was an open meeting. I never went to it, so I just don't know.
I just don't remember it, Sandra. Well, no, you see, weekend. Yes, I wouldn't be able to go Saturday because I was working all the week and to catch up with the housework. And that's on a Saturday, and I'd be jiggered by Saturday night.
I never went.
No, I don't remember. I have forgotten all.
That became the Rank-Thorn. That then became the Rank-Thorn
Did it?
open meeting on a Saturday.
Yes.
Was it at 229 or the BBC?
BBC, it was there when I joined. There were 3 meetings at the BBC when I joined.
Yeah.
But 2 of them were closed meetings and one was the open meeting.
I've forgotten all about that, Sandra. I remember it now you mention it, but I've forgotten that totally.
meetings, people, how things were carried on, how they weren't carried on.
Yeah, that's all like it. Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Well, of course, with everything else, you see, I mean, you start as you go and you
we think
acquire.
It's strange when people say, "Oh, but I can't. I'm greasing next month." You think, big
God,
deal.
big deal, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say, "Can I have the 25p for the milk?" And you used to just take
Take it, yeah,
well,
nobody
the
thought.
tea and the sugar. I used to pile all this in your shopping bag with the slogans.
Yeah.
And
Well,
make
off
sure
you
you got the
went.
key, and off you went, and you opened the meeting, and that was all the. Do you remember when George first said with this rota? I was quite indignant about this rota. I thought, I've never needed a rota so far, and I certainly don't. I'm doing this because I'm grateful, you know.
Yes.
But it was good because we might be grateful, but we used to get resentful. I used to get resentful sometimes, because especially.
Well, you do, because the men would never do it, would
They
they?
used to leave me in there in the basement.
Yes.
I used to be really one that I was a bit frightened in there, you know, the
Oh,
Specialist Church.
oh, it was spooky down there,
And
wasn't
they
it?
all went and left me in the basement clearing up, you know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
It was really queer.
Yeah, I'd have to lock the door then when I went out. So they were locking the whole church up round, you know. It was, but you know, it's how we functioned, really, wasn't it?
Oh.
Well, when I came in, and that's only
Yeah.
15 years ago. So when you came in, Alice, you know, must have been even less still. Takes a long time to grow, though, doesn't it?
Yes, it certainly does. But you know, it's remarkable. I was talking about Dr. Soper, and I mean the Methodists are not supposed to drink, are they?
Mm.
They're dead again drink. Well, these houses had been there for a good few years. There weren't something that had come in with. Well, drink was beginning to be recognised as a problem. It's something that they had done for years. And
This was the two houses in London.
the two houses, and they were sort of linked like that. St Luke's, that was the men. And then there's seemed to be a courtyard, as far as I can remember. And then St Mary's was at the other side of this courtyard. And in between there was some stalls. It was cobbled, the courtyard, and there was some stalls at the side. And I always remember saying to someone, what's those for? And they said, oh, well, they used to put the drunks in there and put the hose pipes on them in the old days.
Yeah.
Now, whether that was true or not, I don't know, but that's what they told me.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, so it'd been going, these hostels for alcoholics had been going in a long, long time.
I'm jumping about a bit now, but do you remember when they did the dances down here at Bruno?
Oh, yes,
Yeah, they
Bellevue
were
Road.
Were they the dry houses that organised those dances? I know we were all there.
Yeah,
I think you were there, Alice.
I was there. We had a sausage and mash supper once, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, we did.
It was
Sausage,
it was a
mash and
club.
mushy peas.
Yeah.
It was a club they opened. It was a club and it was open during
Oh,
the day, wasn't it, this club?
Yes. Was it on a Sunday?
Was it an AA club?
Well, this will have to find. I can't remember if it was an AA club or not, but it was run by the dry houses.
I can't remember now. I shouldn't. You know, weekends were my busy times. I wouldn't have.
I know I never went in the club, but I remember going. I went to
Yeah.
two dances in there.
Yeah, I remember that one dance. I must have gone to two. I remember that one with the sausage and mash. It was something to do with the dry houses, but wasn't.
And it was sort of an AA club. Well, it wasn't. I don't know. Probably Morris would.
Don't think he'd remember it.
He was there. Morris was there.
When you say he remembers it.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't remember it. No.
No.
Is there anything else about the West Riding that, you know, the West Riding Intergroup, say late on, you know, in late 60s, that made it different? You know, anything special? Who were the people? Do you remember any of the people from Newcastle who came down?
Oh, a chap with a funny name like Oggy. Yes.
Because you see, if we get people from other intergroups, their names, we can pass them on through region and link them up, you know, with other people.
I'm not sure if Oggy didn't die.
He took a drink not long ago. He's been sober about 9 years.
A lot longer than, no, there's been a lot longer than that. Little fat chap, he had a pub by the docks somewhere. I know, we walked along the side of the docks, a lovely big pub, and upstairs he had this big ballroom which they used as a singing room. It was that type of pub. And we had, I think, a mini convention. I remember Dr. O'Brien was there.
In his pub?
In his pub, on a Sunday afternoon.
There was a mini convention?
He was a mini convention, I'm sure.
Ah!
Yeah, Bill. No, he's still alive, is Bill. He's retired, of course. Can't remember his other. Perhaps Morris knows his other name. I don't. Last time I saw him was that mini convention on Doncaster, you know, on the Doncaster Road. What do they call that one?
Scoresby.
Scoresby, that's right. Yeah, that's last time I saw him.
Yeah.
How do you know that, Jim? From information you've got?
Just some flyers,
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, there's one soon, isn't there? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we had. Yes, I remember it most distinctly. And I remember a woman came from the National Council of Alcoholism. She was a woman from Wakefield. And she really had it all at her fingertips. And she spoke at it. You see, we had outside speakers, as I was saying.
Yeah. Was it quite a regular thing to have outside speakers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were at Scaleborough, we didn't get Scaleborough unless Dr. O'Brien came.
Ah.
It was more or less an unofficial recognised thing.
Yeah.
Going back to the intergroups, when you were asking about chairmen and that, Alvina was chairman of one of those intergroups, wasn't she?
She never started. She said
she got a lot of, I don't know what the right word to use is, but she took a bat home. That's when she pulled out of AA. This is what she told me anyway.
She never, intergroups never started. She was supposed to start as chairman, and they kept saying, when are you going to do something?
Yeah.
When are you going to do something? And she says, well, I'm trying to learn shorthand and typing, then I'll be able to do it. We were waiting to start Intergroup. And and she never did.
No.
Oh dear.
Can't remember who was.
You can't remember the first intergroup meeting?
Well, I suppose it was in Leeds. It seemed to be central for everywhere. Because the others gradually came in, you see.
But working backwards, if we work backwards on Intergroup, it's Christine now, then it was Eddie, prior to that.
Yes.
Then it was, before that it was Gabriel. Who was before Gabriel?
Peter T, wasn't it?
No. John P.
John P.
Yes.
John P was general and I was treasurer.
Peter Thomas. Peter, did you? Peter. No, Peter took over from me.
I know when I went to my first intergroup meeting, that was 15 years ago, they were what, 3 years? there were either, I know Peter and Morris were sat at the top table. I know you were treasurer, but at that time the treasurer didn't sit on the top table. You were sat in the audience, for want of a better word.
Yes.
That? And there was just Morris and Peter up there. So I can't remember which job way round they were.
Oh, well, Peter must have been chairman and Morris would have been secretary then.
Yeah.
Because
So then would John
Peter took over from me.
Yeah, so then it'd be John P then, wouldn't it?
And then John P. after
John
Peter.
Then Gabriel.
Yes.
Then Eddie.
Mm.
And then Chris.
You did 3 years.
It's only recently, since I came in, that they really have had, well, it seems to me, you can fill it in, Alice, a proper secretary as such. You know now the secretary's job of Intergroup is very important, really. Only that all the chairman does really is hold the meeting together. The secretary seems to do most of the work. When I first
Yes, but when you...
Intergroup, the chairman were doing the job and the secretary was just taking bits of notes.
That's right, yes. Yes, it all fell on you. Yes.
Did it all. And it was when Morris took over and did secretary with Gabriel that
Yes.
he seemed to take up until then. I know when John P was chairman, Sue from, Jim and Sue.
Mm.
Oh, yes.
She did a few notes every now and again, you used to see Sue here, can she take some notes, that's how the secretary's job.
Mm.
But then when Morris took over with Gabriel, he got it set up. That were a good intergroup, that, when, good top table, that was Morris, wasn't it? I thought so. And then we got a vice chairman. That was the first time I had a vice chairman. And I was treasurer.
Of course, it was a case of the blind leading the blind,
Yeah, early days.
Early days,
Groups.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
And it was always the same sort of, nobody wanted to do anything, and then if you did anything, it was always the same. Always the same old crowd in Leeds, they used to say.
Yeah. Leeds got the blame for everything.
Leeds got the blame for everything, yes. That always Bradford were having a go at us.
But nobody else will volunteer for anything.
No.
Yeah.
We used to call them the Big Five.
Who did?
When I first joined, they used to say, the Big Five. And I could never work out who the Big Five was. I thought, well, it must be Morris, Peter. These were all people who served along with me. Morris and Peter and Alice. I didn't see Gabriel that way because she was only, 16 months. She only had a year when I joined. So and I could never work out who this Big Five were. But I've mentioned it to Alice recently. And she says, well, it's...
Yes.
Well, I used to wonder who the five were.
Yeah. It's the American saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've dried up.
Of course, we can always think of things after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hundreds
of things, yes. I'm glad they kept those books, that you say. The ledgers that we started.
I hope so. I did.
Yes.
I never thought I could have brought them tonight.
The cash receipt book, it's green, it's a bottle green colour, and
I haven't-
emerald green colour.
No, I haven't got that.
It's about that big, it's an exercise book.
No, definitely. No, definitely not.
We called it a cash receipt book,
Yes.
Cash book.
No, I had the ledger, cash
I
ledger.
know George was quite chuffed with it when I gave it to him.
Yeah.
Well, he'll still have it somewhere.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was quite thrilled with it when I
Yeah.
gave it to him,
Yeah.
So I don't think he will let it...
No, I won't. It'll be somewhere.
Why we had to change the bookkeeping side was, we were going to get that a local area office It was going to be at Centenary House. To do this, we got to be something like a limited company. I know it's all very involved. And as a limited company, you got to have the double entry bookkeeping. And that's when I changed it over to that. And they've carried it on ever since, despite the fact that we didn't.
Well, I assume they've carried it on since.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because Chris never ever came back to me.
No.
You know, I used to come back to you and say,
Yes.
this is, you know, for the first few intergroups.
Yes.
But I never saw the books. Once I gave them to Chris, I never saw them again. So
Oh.
hopefully she's still got the same books to pass them on to.
Well, I've got one big ledger
Yes.
and a hardback blue thin,
Long thing.
long and thin one.
Yes.
That's
I remember
it.
that.
That's
yes.
it.
But
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
But I haven't got an
But there
emerald
should
green
be
one.
a green one like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll check with George for that.
Because that has got all the meetings in.
Yes.
If you receive the money actually off the meeting.
Mini from.
Every doing, not just big clumps, well
Yeah.
this quarter we got that much, but if you got £10, it was all put in this cash receipt book.
Yes,
wasn't
that's
it?
right.
And you know, and of course from that you will be able to tell exactly
How much?
when meetings started, because there'll be the beginning and the first date.
Yes, we marked them all closed so and so.
And when they close,
There have been some
it
closed.
say closed, so you get
Yes.
a good idea of when. That's why I thought it was a good idea to have that. To show when meetings opened and closed.
Unless it's been in a file that I've just passed on to Annette for cataloguing, you know. But I don't think it was, because I had a quick flick through them. And
Well, you recognise a
Yeah.
cash thing. I mean, you think
Yeah.
there was, you know, if there's money involved, you want to have a look and
Yeah.
see what the amounts were in comparison to
it'll
what we
still have
get
it,
now.
because, I mean, see, George had a load in a cubbyhole upstairs, and he'll surely he'll still have it. There'll be no problem. Give dates, won't it?
Yes,
when
gates.
meetings opened,
Yes,
When meetings opened.
Yeah.
yes.
Because there's been a few that opened and just